partner visas are taking over 12 months, we can confidently lodge it. So that's why having a good lawyer who really knows the regulation but also knows the operation of the practice can really help.
Let's say one partner is offshore. How do we actually go about it? Do they still have to maintain a joint account in that sense?
The department is really on high alert to try and catch couples who are not socially accepted.
So what MJ Legal does is basically help the client from the start towards the end. We just like keep updating the application, help them strategize, and then collect more evidence.
The department looks to see how did the couple meet each other. Was it through social media? Was it through any of the dating applications? You can't sponsor the future partner, let's say 2 or 3 years after you sponsored the first partner.
Welcome to episode 2 of Visa Game Plan. Today we are going to discuss the different aspects of relationships and understand how well we can apply for a partner visa. I have our immigration solicitor, Keith James, with me today. Keith, how are you?
Very good, Amasha, and quite looking forward to discussing like the evidentiary requirements of partner visas, because that's basically a very difficult process and a lot of clients get it wrong.
Definitely. So in the episode 1, you discussed that there are 2 different types of relationships, de facto relationships, marriages. So when it comes to proving the genuineness of a de facto relationship, I would really like you to go into detail and tell our clients how well they can look into the aspects of financials and households. What are the evidence that they can use?
So basically, this is actually common across both de facto relationships and marital relationships. Some clients think just because, oh, look, I have a marriage certificate, that means I'm entitled to a partner visa. Unfortunately, the department goes into much more complex assessment than simply just saying, oh, you have a marriage certificate, so this must be your spouse. So there is what is known as a 4-factor test, right? So the first factor is that they are looking at the nature, history, and development of the relationship. By that, what we mean is the department looks to see how did the couple meet each other. Was it through social media? Was it through any of the dating applications? Was it through a friendship circle, or even a proposal? It's very common in our cultures, the subcontinental cultures. So the first was the nature, history, and development of the relationship. The second thing that the department looks at is the financial aspects of the relationship. Does the couple share joint finances? Do they have joint assets and liabilities? How do they pay for things in their day-to-day relationship? The third thing they look at is actually the social aspects of the relationship. So if you're just a couple that is not actually known by your friends, if people don't know about your relationship, then that's a red flag for the department, because there's a lot of scams in the partner visa sector where a lot of people kind of sell sponsorships and stuff. So the department is really on high alert to try and catch couples who are not socially accepted. And the last one they look at is the future plans of the relationship, the nature of the household, and what are the plans of the couple, right? So those are the 4 main factors, and usually we really work with the clients to try and lay out all of that evidence, because when a relationship is naturally growing, you don't really document all of these things, right? So you really
Exactly.
need a lawyer.
So when it comes to, that's a very good point that I had a clarification with regard to that as well. So when it comes to proving the social aspect, now let's say the couple, they're not on social media. How would we help them overcome that obstacle?
So that's really interesting, right? So social aspect and social media are 2 things.
I see.
Social aspects usually come from like photographic evidence about whether the couple is known socially. So like if you're going to take photos, don't just take photos of you and your partner. Take photos in social settings with your friends, with your family, in parties, places that people would look at you and say, yes, we know you guys are an exclusive couple. So that's the way we go about it.
Right. So when it comes to finances, you mentioned joint accounts. For an example, let's say one partner is offshore. How do we actually go about it? Do they still have to maintain a joint account in that sense?
Yeah, so offshore clients are much harder to prove than onshore clients. So when it comes to offshore clients, particularly if you only met your spouse after you moved to Australia, you won't have a lot of these like social evidence and also financial evidence.
Correct.
So what we usually do is we look at things like the gifts you send each other, right? So often couples will send each other gifts. They might send each other some money. They might be planning a wedding where one party is sending money back to their home country to plan a wedding, or they might have traveled together and met each other in certain locations. So we will try to show all of those as evidence of finances, but otherwise it's hard to find a joint account. However, what you must understand, Amasha, is, as I said in episode 1, partner visas have two criteria: time of application requirements and time
Time
of
of
decision
decision
requirements.
requirements.
So if you don't have all the evidence at the time of application, you can come to somebody like us at MJ Legal. We'll look at your evidentiary history and we'll say, okay, look, we understand this is the entirety of the evidence you have. So what we will do here is we will make the application with the evidence you have today, but these are the further evidences we want from you. Do some money transfers, maybe create a joint account in your home country if you are a citizen of your home country as well, and start putting some money in there. Or if you're planning a wedding together, show receipts, get the receipts under both's name, and then we can upload those into the application as the application is processing.
So what MJ Legal does is basically help the client from the start towards the end. We just like keep updating the application, help them strategize, and then collect more evidence. We just help the client from the start from to the end. So the entire
Correct.
journey basically.
Correct. So basically, because partner visas take almost 2 years to process now, what we really do is at the outset in the initial consultation with me, I will set out all of the evidence. I'll look at the evidence you have as a couple, then I'll outline all of it, and then I will tell you, okay, look, these are the additional evidence you're going to need to develop. You don't need it today. We can launch the application as it is, but then we can update the application as it processes with all the other evidence as well. So that is really the requirement when it comes
I
there.
think so. In that sense, we take a lot of stress out of the clients in that sense.
Definitely, and particularly when you're preparing things like the nature, history, and development of the relationship or the future plans of the couple, how you evidence it is by giving the department a relationship statement.
I see.
The best way to do that is through a statutory declaration. So at MJ Legal, what we do is we know that it's very hard for clients who are not regularly in the habit of writing submissions to write such complex things about their relationship. So what we do is we just tell you, give us a few bullet points and we will draft the statement for you based on your story, your relationship story, but also at a legal standard. And then we give it to you to sign it.
Understood. So in episode 1, you mentioned that the partner visas have a sponsorship application and a visa application. And I've heard that there are certain bars when it comes to the sponsorship applications. Is that true?
Yes, so basically, because of the nature of partner visas, and also as I said earlier, there's a lot of scams in it. The department has a limitation on the number of times you, as a sponsor, can sponsor somebody from overseas or on a temporary visa to live with you as your partner. So you can only do it twice in your life unless there is any compelling and compassionate circumstances. And you can also only sponsor somebody 5 years at a time. So if you lodge an application today, then you can't sponsor if this relationship breaks down and then you have another partner in the future, you can't sponsor the future partner, let's say 2 or 3 years after you sponsored the first partner.
But the 5 years start from the time you lodged the application, not the time that particular visa was granted, right?
Correct, yes. So there are two things. The 5-year sponsorship buys on the date of sponsorship being the date you lodge the application. The second thing you must remember also is that the 5 years is assessed at the time of application. So let's say you lodge a time of decision. So let's say you lodge an application today, right, for the partner you're with. Then 2 years later, that relationship breaks down. And then you're single for another 2 years and you meet somebody else that you need to sponsor again. But this is only 4 years since your initial sponsorship, right? The bar says 5 years. But you can still lodge that application because the bar is assessed at the time of decision. And because we know partner visas are taking over 12 months, we can confidently lodge it. So that's why having a good lawyer who really knows the regulation but also knows the operation of the practice can really help you.
So when it comes to the partner visas, we initially discussed there are two types, the visa application and the sponsorship application. How do MJ Legal help clients to navigate both pathways? Because I've heard some agencies, they just do either the sponsorship or the visa, but here at MJ Legal, we do both.
Correct. I think a lot of the clients really, or a lot of the migration agencies, what they do is they, in order to give the client a very low fee, they just tell the client, okay, this is how much it costs to do, and they just launch your the visa application. And then after that, they come back to you and say, oh no, actually we need to launch a sponsorship application as well. Here's the additional cost. And that's when the clients realize, oh, it's so expensive. But we don't really see the point of doing that, because if you are going to help a client through the journey, you might as well help them through the entire journey.
And be transparent about it from
Exactly.
the outset.
Yes.
Right. That was very comprehensive, Keith. I think all our clients understood how to go about a partner visa application in a very meaningful way. Thank you for all that information. It was really nice having you today.
Thank you.
That's it for episode 2 at Visa Game Plan. See you guys next time.